Good morning, YouTube. It's Chris Rozier, and I'm here to talk about an interesting subject I want to talk about. The things we don't know still exist. Now, this can be interpreted in two different ways. One, we just don't know certain things exist, just no acknowledgement of it. On the planet, maybe that's not the case anymore with the amount of information and technology to help find things out, but there's still undiscovered stuff, so really just basic facts, stuff like that. And the other thing is, when it comes to the term, the things we don't know still exist, is things that we do not know. Just because we don't acknowledge them or see them doesn't mean they don't exist. It's not really like discovery, it's just about you personally knowing something rather than it being known. And, a lot of this, see, I was already recording this and it just fucking deleted itself or whatever. I mean, I just recorded it, but one of the examples I was talking about is how we acknowledge our faults. Our faults ain't always in our control, but the ones that are, we choose to ignore, and they become the problems that are repeated and repeated. Now, I'm saying this in like a smart guy way, in a way, because, there are people that just understand it like second nature, but they're not everybody. And some people just never been led to believe that's even possible. And some people also interpret the world in a we need to hear it explained, not in a baby goo goo gaga way, but like a philosophical way. That's one of the reasons I like these videos. Because really anybody can pick up on something, or if you don't agree with what I say, maybe that means you think about the opposite, or maybe it wasn't. You know what I mean? But, it's in terms of your progress or what you're doing. One of my examples is I'm always ill prepared. Now, I'm ill prepared. Let's say I was going to work. When I wake up, I get up at later than I should. Or if I wake up early, I go to sleep. I'll still lay down in the bed, just kind of hanging around or being on my phone or just daydreaming or whatever, until I feel like I need to get up so I can make it on time. And I could go in early, but I just tired. I just was like, I'm gonna wait. It's my decision to choose to wait. Now, if that's just how it happens, then the time passed. But if it's something you had control over, like I did, like I've done on most days, I could have been getting in earlier. I could have been, even if I get in on time, I could have been there probably even better. And the ill preparedness also comes from all the things I need to bring or just have on me: keys, phone, wallet. I bring a vape around with me, and just knowing where those are at, so I don't have to go searching. I go searching a lot, and I can get it done, especially because I've done so much. I kind of got used to, and I kind of understand where I remember to put things, but it's not really set in the name of getting it done to be ready. Of course, and that's definitely something I'm gonna start working on, especially now since I've talked about it. I've acknowledged it, so that means that I don't really have a choice unless I want to only blame myself. But if you still don't know about it, it doesn't mean you're dumb. It just means you need to understand. And if there's nothing to be understood, there probably wasn't a problem. And that's really what it is. What we need to figure out are the problems and solve them. And it can't always be solved in one way, so that's why it's important to think another way. And this even comes to like your emotions about things, how you react to things. Just acknowledging that sometimes you're just reacting like a puss, or reacting too strongly, or too much of just suddenness. Like when you're meeting somebody, just being like, hey, you might think it sounds bland, but it's better than being like, hey. So sometimes it really, even if you doubt it, it might be right. Or if you doubt that you're right, you might be wrong. So it's pretty cool. Definitely a lot of loopholes in life. People talk about loopholes like it's just in legal documents, how you can get around this, or numbers, or whatever. But you could also find the loopholes in your own self, because it ain't just us who shapes ourselves. It's our environment, it's what we've been around, it's what we've been told. And, especially if you're young, some people just always know better. some people just choose not to assume that somebody's up to something no good. That, you can get hurt from the wrong thing, or it might affect how you move, and you have no idea. And that's just, it's very important to acknowledge not every single little action. I like, for example, the way my hands are moving, or, what's your first step going down the stairs was. If that's what you do and it's comfortable, then keep on doing it, obviously. But in terms of, like, avoidance, let's say you don't want to go somewhere. Was there something about that place you didn't like? If it's from experience and you're going to have to acknowledge it, you don't have to do anything, but you don't have to go somewhere you don't want to go, but at least acknowledge that you don't want to go because of the truth, because of this, because of that. And you're going to be wrong. It's life. Everybody's going to be wrong. Everybody will tell you after you fucked up so much, or after you feel like you fucked up so much. Talk to somebody older, they're just going to tell you, man, you want to know how many times I fucked up. And that's helped me a lot, because for some reason I've had that expectation of myself when I didn't need it. And, yeah.
Ooh.
So, don't go against your will, but don't go against the reason. That kind of goes along with realness and fakeness. Let's say you're going somewhere and you want to meet people. It's important to listen. It sounds kind of snoopy. It sounds kind of nosy. But really, everybody else is doing it too. Same person that told you not to be nosy, they're being nosy before they even said it. So, don't ever stress about that. Don't get yourself involved in somebody's business. If you hear somebody talking, you don't have to feel like, oh, I shouldn't be listening to them talk. It feels nosy, but they're just talking out loud. Now, if you put too much thought to it, you're distracting yourself anyways, but maybe also you get yourself involved somehow, or somebody can read that you're listening in really hard. You don't have to do that, especially for an analytic mind. You just have to let it go, listen, and then analyze after. If it's important. If it's something personal, you don't get yourself involved. People talk out loud about personal shit all the time that maybe nobody else should be hearing, but people just do that, right? And sometimes you can't help hearing how things go or what people tell you to. And that's when you show some respect, and they seem, if it's, something that wouldn't hurt to not tell anybody, sure, but if it's something that might hurt somebody, you're going to say something. Or at least you should. And, but anyways, it's, I lost track of what I was talking about. But I felt like it led up to something good. Two choices. Ignore and bash, or accept and consider. Ignore and bash comes from not having your ego stroked enough. Accept and consider comes from much love or humility. Now, this kind of goes in with self-esteem. Let's think about it. Can you have no ego but high self-esteem? Or could you have high ego and no self-esteem? I feel like this one might be the more possible one. And let's say your ego is so high because you're trying to compensate. And your self-esteem is down here, which tells you to keep on going up this way.
Ooh.
But if we're down here with no ego but high self-esteem, well, if they have no ego, that means they're not taking care of what makes them feel good. How could they have high self-esteem? Is there something else? Is there a factor right here? And for some people, yes. For some people, it's the right people around them. It's their luck at certain times. People change. People are probably fluctuating here and there. Even today or any day of the day, any time of the week, fucking people are up and down, even depending on who they're around for a second or two, and it's a big wavelength. And don't tell me, I forgot what I was talking about again. I kind of remember. So, it's talk about ego. You have to have some. You have to feel good about yourself. And especially with your physical body too. Like, take care of your mind and your body. That means putting attention to yourself. people will be like, oh, it's not selfish to take care of yourself, but then some people will just, whether or not it is the same people, will just, reverse it. Be like, oh, why are you doing it? Whatever it is, right? And that's something else too. Not everything. I made my mistakes of thinking somebody's talking shit when they weren't. They're just making a comment, or that's the thing I used to get mad at when I was younger. When I make a comment and people assume I was being pissed off. But one thing I realized, that's just one of those things. Not only is that one of those things, I'm not the only one who's dealt with it. I already felt different when I was younger because I was pretty early in my acknowledgement that I was a little different from the other kids. And I let that get to me a little too much because I felt like I figured it out without being told. Now, is that me just knowing it earlier, or really that is kept from me? Because it wasn't like hidden. I went to, get help from different classes or do this or do that, which, is to the benefit. And that's something I kind of regret too, to being a little less, not being enough of a grateful for it in a way. But that's something too. I just thought about that actually. Maybe it's possible that I thought that people didn't want to tell me nothing, but really I was young too. I was like 6 or 5 years old when I realized I was in the different classroom with the different kids, and I kind of picked up on how different things are. And I used to think it was just hidden, but maybe they just didn't see it as a big deal either. And then, there's a lot you have to think about shit before you pick an opinion. Now, even if you don't say nothing, it shows on your skin. It shows in your actions and your words, or how you respond to certain things. That's why it's important to understand where it even comes from, because it might not be as bad as you think, or it might be better than you thought. Whatever it is, right? You definitely have to put some thought into it and have some confidence. That's how you continue your thought processes without getting distracted. And especially with this, for example. This is a different monologue than I have for my first recording. And what I didn't know is that I could do this just fine the second time around. I'm not saying the same things like I was before, like I was thinking I was trying to have to capture the image of the first. But that kind of life goes on. And I'm not happy about it particularly, but I'm not going to be like, oh man, hell, I still got what I need and I know what I'm talking about, so that helps a lot too. But speaking of, I'm just going to end it right here then. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, do whatever you want.